Hey, Gavox here. So, I want to talk about QB throw styles. They recently released a blog outlining a lot of the work they did with timing and stuff. So, we're going to go through that. I'll link the blog in the description. But a lot has been said about the pass rush in 20 from the beta. I've talked about it a little. The QB throw motions. It's kind of a compounding effect because the longer the QB takes, once you make a decision to get it out, the more time the defense has to get you. And with a fast pass rush, getting upon the quarterback for him not to be able to get the ball out quick like you see in the NFL. You see they hold it up here so that way they can throw it really quick when the pass rush is on them. And to not be able to do that is kind of a disappointment. But we're going to talk about a little bit of this and then my kind of back and forth with an EA developer that worked on these QB throw motions. So let's go through the blog first before I get into my analysis and it kind of will sparse that throughout too. So, introduction. This is with, you guys know Moonlight Swami on YouTube, or maybe you don't. If you don't, he used to have a YouTube channel. He still does have a YouTube channel, but he's basically doing work for EA now. He got hired to do a lot of franchise stuff and this kind of thing. So, our primary objectives this cycle was to add more authenticity to the appearance of quarterbacks throwing motions, thus building on our pre-play adjustments from 19 and to standardize our systems a bit to provide more consistent experience for each quarterback. Now, I did testing. My first year of testing, the quarterback throw motions was 16. That took me probably 20 hours or so to do that in the video, and I got that out there. It was really interesting to see who had the fastest throw motions to which part of the field. But there was consistent experience on a lot of the quarterbacks. Back in 16, when I first did it, every single quarterback had the same throw deep motion. If it went over 40 yards, it was the same. There was like a difference. There was short, medium, and deep back then, just like the throw accuracy ratings for the length of how long it took. So short, it was under 20 yards. Medium was 20 to 40, and over 40 was a long wind up, throw it down the field. And of course, if you bullet it and if you loft it, the animation is slightly different too. So there's a lot of things to do about that. And then I tested Gunslinger this past year, and I tested how quickly it went to each portion of the field and the frames it took, and if Gunslinger worked. And it did. I proved that Gunslinger worked. Took out a couple to 3 frames for each one of the motions, short, medium, deep. So the consistent experience for each quarterback, it's good, I guess, but we'll talk a little bit as we come about on more of those details. And the appearance of quarterbacks is really neat, too, to make those guys kind of feel unique. You know, we even had, like, back in the day, they've had this since Madden for ages. Like, remember Rich Gannon would have his sidearm throws. We've had, quarterbacks have had unique throws. So this isn't exactly new, but they're adding on to it to make it even more unique and stylistic going forward. So our animation team did a lot of work to capture then replicate the motions of the NFL's very best, including Aaron Rodgers, Mahomes, Brady, etc. Now, I asked Moonlight Swami, which we'll get to here, if on Twitter, on our Twitter exchange, if they did anything with Legends quarterbacks, and he said he can't talk about it right now, and we'll get that in a second. So Legends are still up in the air, whether they did like the Dan Marino capture or not. When using any of these players, you will visually notice a significant difference in release point, footwork. I wonder if a release point will make a difference whether you hit your offensive lineman in the head, speed of the quarterback's arm whipping to throw, and more. In some cases, you also get to see truly signature throws like that Patrick Mahomes no-look pass when attempting crossbody throws, or Aaron Rodgers whipping the ball out of his hand without stepping into all his throws. Because he doesn't want to get injured, right? He falls away from his throws. It's kind of like that. He learned it from Favre, right? If you're off the ground, you can't get impacted in your knees, and you don't go out like Tom Brady did for a year because of knee injury. So for Madden 20, we standardized all set pass animations. We'll keep going before we get into this. Hopefully you all can appreciate these differences. You feel like you are controlling these signature players. You can all appreciate these significant differences. Okay, whatever. Regarding in-game impact, we wanted to create different tiers of quarterback play to try and replicate the best versus the rest. First, we revisited our short passes. In previous years, there were 2 generic short throw animations that had a 50-50 chance of being used. However, the biggest pain point around these animations is that they were different speeds from button press to ball release. Obviously, it can be frustrating not knowing what animation will trigger in such a time-based game. So for Madden 20, we took those animations and made them the same speed for all generic passing types. So, short passes, same speed for generic passing types. They took out the multiple animations. They made them the same. Okay. We're having questions still, especially the standardized set pass animations. Next, we altered release time based on depth of the throw and the direction the pass is going. For example, we break down depth into short, medium, deep, and Hail Mary distances. For short, medium animations to trigger, those that do not go 1-to-1 with throw accuracy ratings. These do not go 1-to-1 with throw accuracy ratings. So throw accuracy ratings don't matter for animations. Throw power doesn't matter for animations. The landing spot of the ball must be at least 50 yards from the quarterback for the short. So 0 to 50, a pass that's going 10 yards down the field is going to be the same animation as the ball going 50 yards down the field. Now, if the animation is really quick, that makes sense, right? 50-yard pass for NFL level quarterback, that should be really quick out of the hand. Deep is 51 to 60, and Hail Mary is 60. That's where they're really winding up and throwing hard. Essentially, the further you throw, the longer the animation speed to simulate a quarterback winding up and putting his all into the throw. So far, I'm okay with that. Obviously, with Madden 20 and the beta and the short throw problems, which we'll get to in a second, which they explain why we're having short throw problems in my conversation with Moonlight, Swami, or Andrew here. We'll get to that. Why we're having short throw problems. Furthermore, pass in the middle of the field or square with the quarterback, square up, right down the middle, will always be the fastest. Passing to the left or right, which will require the quarterback to alter his feet, will be slightly longer animations. We saw this was the same thing that happened last year with my testing. Passes to right or left took a little bit longer because the guy's got a square shoulder and throw. For a right-handed quarterback, throwing to the left will be the longest throwing motion, while a left-handed quarterback throwing to the right will be the longest. Fair enough. It makes a lot of sense because you need to turn your body and step into the throw or not step into the throw, but you got to turn your body then throw. Makes perfect sense to me. We'll get to why. We'll get to more of those thoughts in a second. Next, we separate out quarterbacks into various tiers to determine what the speed of their animation packages will be. The fastest throwing motion in the game is Aaron Rodgers to replicate how incredible his release in real life is. The next fastest tier is all the other signature quarterbacks. I don't know if I like that, but all the other signature quarterbacks and one of our generic animation sets. I don't know if generic animation set's going to be like, the legends, and they'll just have all the legend quarterbacks will have that generic throwing motion, which kind of suck. While each animation package may look or feel different, every throwing motion is the exact same speed for the players in the same tier. At launch, every starting quarterback except for Nick Foles, due to his longer motion, will be in the signature QB tier of animation speed using either the signature package or the fastest generic animation package. So it's kind of like how, you have tier lists where you have D, C, B, A, and then S tier, and then Aaron Rodgers even above S tier. Every single quarterback's in the S tier that starts, and then Aaron Rodgers in a tier above S. So it's like he's in a tier of his own, and then Foles is in A tier, and then Foles and the rest of the generic quarterbacks, the backups, are in S tier. I'm guessing guys like Michael Vick will have something like that. I don't know. Lamar Jackson will have a faster release. I'm guessing that if Michael Vick gets a generic release, so Lamar might be the better scrambling quarterback. But as for the signature tier, we have a true generic, which will be applied to non-starters and Nick Foles and out-of-position players who have shown their quality passers, like Sanu and former college quarterbacks, the Edelman types. The bottom tier is slower generic package, which is noticeable drop-off from the signature and even standard generic tier. QBs with extremely long throwing motions, low-level backups, and the rest of the out-of-position players we assign this package. Now, if you have a starter go down with an injury, having a backup with a solid throwing motion becomes an additional layer to consider in team-building process. Lastly, we have assigned these various throwing motions in the franchise draft classes, so you never know which quarterback will end up with lightning quick release. It'd be kind of neat if they actually told you, but you could scout out the releases. That would be kind of cool franchise. But let's go back up, and this is kind of my concerns on Twitter. Am I reading this right? The quarterback animation, the same length of about 10 yards is 50 yards. Correct from the QB to the landing spot. Is there any way to give an even quicker short throw animation, like 20 yards or less, because that was a major pain point in the beta? We're looking into cases that may have been causing longer throwing times, but the animation speed is definitely not slow. He responds after this one to this question, with I should specify passes down the middle of the field are in line with last year's short throw. So passes, which we'll get to here, passes to the sidelines, which is how you sometimes beat the blitz. Throwing a quick out route, throwing a running back arrow route, throwing a corner to the tight end or wide receiver, throwing a quick pass. But it's no longer quick against the blitz because now it's a few extra frames, which we talk about. We'll get to that. And I said weird on the bug that why some longer throwing times were showing up. I did a lot of QB throw time testing in the past, and it's really nice to get information up front instead of having to spend hours confirming it. Really appreciate the communication. this is exactly why I want to get this out. The directional and distance throws are rather jarring change, so he felt it was best to get throw communication. I then ask, how many frames or fractions of a second in a short middle throw versus a sideline throw versus a deep Hail Mary? And what's the degree cutoff sideline versus middle? This is important to know. We can't get into the specifics, which sucks for us as players. But if you're centered between the hashes, I would say a little bit outside the hash to each number, to each side would be when you start to alter the motion. Might be close to the numbers. 100% sure in this case. So, you get what he's saying? Like, when you're kind of looking at the sidelines, if your quarterback has to really kind of like, that's almost like what? Maybe 45 degrees? Would you say that? Kind of in there to the hash mark. Hash marks aren't that far, really. So that's maybe even like almost like a small cone, like a 30 or 40 degree cone. But I don't know. But it's going to be longer to the sideline. So that's kind of tough because passes down the middle. Well, let's just finish this off before we get our thoughts. Thanks for the info, though. Looks like I'll have to run some tests. No problem. We'll say, though, for each tier, the throw timing widens more. Signature is X, while generic may have a wider gap between short, medium, and deep long. And the timing to left-right is only small differences, maybe a couple or few frames depending on the tier depth. So then I go in 19, my testing. Short and medium was only 3 frames, the difference between it, though. But you could tell. I mean, between a short throw is 9 frames and a medium is 12. I mean, that's a 33% difference, which is significant, right? That's about ability to get out the ball. Like a frame, I'm talking 30 frames per second here. He's talking 60. So just confirm that. A frame is, that's a bit. That's a tenth of a second. Getting the ball out, that's the difference between getting the ball out and getting sacked. Then I asked about the Legend throwing motions. Can't speak on Legend at the moment, but no throwing motion is that short. The gap is noticeable. Yeah, and then you talk about that. So I'm a little concerned with the pass rush and getting dump-offs out to the sidelines. I think because of the ability of quarterbacks, like if you watch them in the NFL, like they don't always shift their feet to throw to the sideline, right? They're here, and then they just throw it like this, right? They just throw it forward. Whereas like going backwards, that would be a significant change, and I can see those frames being different. And I get what they're saying. They take a couple frames longer at 60 frames per second, which it doesn't sound like much, but like I said, that could be the difference between the ball being out and the ball getting fumbled or thrown to the ground. So I'm a little concerned because during the beta, a lot of players complained about how long QB throw animations are, and if last year's short throw animations are only triggering for balls up the middle, whereas like medium animations are triggering from the sidelines, that's the problem, right? That's the long throw animation problem. And that's something that I hope they can fix. They can give short throw animations to guys throwing it wide, but I fear we're too close to launch. So we'll have to play it and we'll have to see, but it feels like a heavy pressure meta, bad zone type of year, which again, it's fine if it's balanced with the offense because, the offense got a lot of new tools too, RPOs and all that jazz. I just don't want it to be a run first game because I think run first games are boring. I don't want to play 1950s football. So whenever they kind of fuck with the balance of the game, especially like they're assaulting the pass game and the pressure in 2 ways, right? They're making it harder for the offense to get the ball out of their hands and easier for the defense to get there. So it's kind of like I said, like a compounding effect, like a big wave got put together and now it's coming towards land. So I don't know. Again, we'll have to play it and see, and hopefully our bailouts now that linebackers then got nerfed, so high lows might work. So over the middle might be an okay place to throw the ball now to get bailed out against that pass rush because you still have the short throw animation. So what do you guys think? I for one want to see how it play out. I'm not going to make a judgment until I play MUT because, like I said, we played a lot of regs. The Pro Bowl was insane, but regs was a lot easier to get the balls out. So we'll see how it is with MUT and everybody having J.J. Watt, Aaron Donald, but then everybody else having great offensive linemen too. But that's my thoughts on that. Hopefully I educated you guys a little bit with frame timing and quarterback motions. Just know to the sidelines are going to be painful throws this year unless they change something. Thanks for watching Call to Action. I'll see you tomorrow.